Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel where today we are talking Doctor Who. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe and like this video. And yeah, today we are talking about the top 5 worst Doctor Who, New Who episodes. So I recently did a video where I spoke about the top 5 best New Who episodes, and now I want to talk about the other end, the worst, the creme de la crap. The stuff that bored me to tears or drove me to hatred and insanity, and in some cases drink. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not including anything from series 11 and 12, purely because if I did, the whole list would just be episodes from series 11 and 12, because I hate the Christian Chibnall era, and yeah, that's a topic for another video, but they're not going to be in this list, so we're just looking at series 1 to 10. So let's crack on with the video, and leave a comment down below as to how you would rank the worst New Who Doctor Who episodes. So, kicking us off, even my favourite Doctor, the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, is not immune to a crap episode. And that is evident in Series 2, Episode 7, The Idiot's Lantern. And my god, I don't even know what it is about this episode, I just find it so boring, so bland, so characterless, so soulless, and I never want to rewatch it. Whenever I do a rewatch of episodes, or a binge through, I tend to skip this episode. And in some cases, I'm not even sure why, because the concept is great, you know. They're set in the 50s, the TVs are eating people up, you know, there's a relatively cool villain. I like the scene where David Tennant is shouting off to the father figure. That's the only good scene in that episode. But I just find it so dull, and it doesn't entertain me in any way. And when entertainment doesn't entertain you, that's a big problem. At least, like with the other episodes on this list, I get some sort of reaction out of them. Fair enough, it's a reaction of dislike, but this one, it's just boring. I don't want to rewatch it, and I hear this a lot, you know. It's just, there's something about it that just makes it off-putting for me to rewatch, and I can't work out what it is. But if any of you can let me know why I hate it so much, or why you don't like it, please let me know. The characters aren't very well fleshed out, there's emotional beats that are meant to mean something but just don't, and the resolution is just... what were they thinking? I just think it's a naff episode, I just don't like it. I can't exactly explain why, but it's just... there's something missing, and I can't work out what it is. Next up is Let's Kill Hitler from Season 6, Episode 8, and this was when Doctor Who started doing that weird thing of splitting the seasons up. And after A Good Man Goes to War, which is a phenomenal episode, I love that episode, there was a hell of a build-up as to what was going to happen next, and I was so excited to see what it was. And as soon as this episode opened, I knew that I was not really going to get what I wanted. It wasn't going to pick up from where we left off. And when you have a title like Let's Kill Hitler, I was like, oh, okay, so you're not picking up where we left off, but you're doing something different, and you're facing the Doctor against Hitler, one of the greatest characters in television history, versus one of the most evil and despicable men of all time. And that is a really interesting concept. And I was like, damn, Doctor Who's going there. I didn't expect them to ever go there. And what a disappointment. Like, I'm not saying I want more Hitler in the episode, because that's weird, but you know what I mean. Like, if you have an episode titled like that, I want you to do something with it. I want some... you know, it's a very clickbaity episode. Hitler plays no part in the story. There is nothing really to do with World War II in there. The Doctor doesn't really do a lot. It tends to be sort of an origin story for, spoilers, River Song. And the origin story makes no sense. Again, it's quite bland and boring. It feels like we're just drudging through the episode. Like, come on, we're going to get this origin story out. People are going to find it boring. What can we do to spice it up and make people watch it? Oh, I know. Let's put Hitler in there. Now, don't get me wrong, the scene where Arthur Darvill as Rory punches Hitler in the face, brilliant episode, brilliant moment of the story. But after that, the Doctor dies and then doesn't, but we also know that it's not going to happen, and we also know that he dies at a different point in time, so the stakes aren't there. There's that weird android robot that changes face and just has mini people in, and there's the evil antibody things. Oh, God. Imagine trying to explain this episode to someone who hasn't seen Doctor Who. Jesus. And then there's that thing of River giving the Doctor regeneration energy, and I don't understand what it's doing. I really don't. I don't understand why they chose to set it in World War II, why they even put Hitler in it, why they gave River Song an origin story when one of the most interesting things about her is that she doesn't have one. There's just so many things in this episode that baffle me, and it is just dull, and I really wanted something better to pick me up from A Good Man Goes to War. So I think this episode was more just disappointing and underwhelming than anything else. Series 7, Episode 13 is next, another Matt Smith story, and that is Nightmare in Silver. And I think my biggest issue with this episode and why I dislike it so much is the redesign of the Cybermen, because you make the Cybermen like Iron Man, which is one thing that I hate. You know, I know that there has been a lot of draws to the likeness, but also you make them too overpowered to the point where when they do get beaten, I'm like, well, that was stupid. When you make a character so unbeatable, it takes away the stakes, because anything that you then do, I'm just going to be like, but that doesn't make sense, because you've already established that you can't beat them. So instantly that doesn't work. I hate the running thing. I like the Cybermen when they're slow. And the speed walk thing is stupid. You waste a great actor like Warwick Davis in this episode, and you do nothing with him, and that's such a shame. And those two kids, I can't even remember their names, but you know what kids I'm talking about. Those annoying kids that Clara babysits. And they're very much the archetype for why adults can't write children very well, because they don't speak or act like children would. They're whisked off in the TARDIS, and they're just like, oh, I've got no signal. Oh, where's the Wi-Fi? Like, kids don't really talk like that when you're going to do that with them. They're annoying and it's stupid. And I don't really understand why they're there, because they do nothing to the story. And in the previous episode, the kids find that picture of Clara from, like, Victorian London. And you're like, oh shit, something's going to happen. And it just doesn't. It makes no sense, and I hate it. And also, they do that thing of, one Cyberman isn't going to be scary enough, so let's build a massive army. I think it's much scarier when there is one or a few. When you have an overpowered CGI army, I don't care, you know? There is nothing in this episode that I really like. There's that weird face-off thing with Matt Smith and the non-Matt Smith. I never really understood that or what that was. And I remember in, I think it was year 9, year 10, my teacher put this episode on for some sociology or RE lesson. I can't remember what the reason was. But I was like, oh, awesome, we're going to watch a Doctor Who episode. You know, the class is going to understand why I love Doctor Who so much. And they put this episode on, and I almost felt embarrassed, because I was like, this is awful. Like, it was just an embarrassing episode to show someone and be like, look at what Doctor Who can do. No. I don't like this episode at all. On to Capaldi now, and Series 8, Episode 7, Kill the Moon. Oh, God. Where do we start? You know what, let's start with the elephant in the room. The moon's an egg, okay? Instantly the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. But, in order to keep continuity, now that the egg's hatched, what are we gonna do? What can we do with that? Oh, I know, the creature that comes outside the egg lays another egg that's exactly the same size, shape, texture, and everything of the moon. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Because a creature that's just come out something that's bigger than it can then lay something that's just the same size as what it's come out. Ah, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? It doesn't make sense. It's the stupidest sci-fi concept I've ever heard of. If you're going to get rid of the moon, then get rid of the moon. It will still make no sense. But then to do that, oh my God. The Doctor is so out of character in this episode. He just buggers off halfway through and is like, humanity, this is Earth's problem. You deal with it. When has that ever stopped him before? Okay? The Doctor always gets involved with Earth's problems. Never has he ever gone, humanity, I'll leave it up to you. Clara, you do it. That makes no sense, and it fundamentally undermines the Doctor, because it makes him just a prick. It makes him go, you deal with it, I don't want to deal with it. What were you doing that was more important than this? Seriously? I don't understand why they did that. It's so out of character and wrong, and the supporting cast aren't compelling enough to support the episode without the Doctor. So half the episode doesn't have the titular character, and it has Clara, who by this point is beginning to get on your nerves a little bit. And yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. When the Doctor comes back and Clara has a go at him, I like that scene. That's a great scene. That should have been possibly the way she exited. You know, one of her many exits. That would have been quite good. But then that's completely undone by the next episode. So the only good thing about the episode is undone straight away the next episode. So it doesn't have that. There's those weird spider things, and I just don't understand what the episode's trying to do. What's the moral? There's a really heavy implication of the episode is about abortion, and that's a really touchy subject. And when I'm watching a show like Doctor Who, I just don't feel like that's the show to delve into a subject like that, you know? And that is quite off-putting, and it takes me out the episode a little bit. As soon as I realised that's what the moral was, I was a bit like, oh, that's not really the right thing for Doctor Who to do. And I know that Doctor Who tackles difficult subjects in the past, but I just don't really feel that that quite fits in with Doctor Who's... yeah, I just... no. just no, just don't do that. And the next episode I want to talk about is the Series 9 finale, and I know that if you're a Doctor Who fan, you've probably been waiting for this. Because, my God, Hellbent is the worst thing ever, okay? I hate Hellbent, okay? It's the stupidest, massivest, missed opportunityist thing ever, okay? So, we've spent, up to this point, you know, 9 years, near enough, in the revival with no Gallifrey, okay? We understand that Gallifrey's gone. And finally, the Doctor, at the end of the last episode, which was one of the most beautiful episodes in Doctor Who's history, comes out of the dial thing and is like, tell them I'm here, I'm back on Gallifrey. And you're like, damn, shit's gonna go down. Shit is gonna hit the fan, man! And you feel the stakes, and then he's back on Gallifrey, and the first thing he does is have a bowl of soup in a shed. What are you doing? What are you doing? They've locked him up for like 1 billion years. He's spent so long looking for Gallifrey so that he knows that he's not alone. The first thing he does is has a bowl of soup in a shed. Are you kidding me right now? It's so underwhelming. Everything about the episode is so underwhelming. And the Doctor doesn't really seem to understand the gravitas of the fact that he's back on Gallifrey. We as the audience understand it, but no one in the episode seems to grasp how big of a deal this is. And it's a huge missed opportunity, because they do nothing with the concept that the Doctor is back on his home planet after so many years and so much hate. Why? It's so irritating that they just completely ignore that for the plot involving Clara, which I hate again, because Face the Raven gave Clara a really good send-off. That was a fantastic send-off, and it made me almost go, I want Clara to stay. And that is what it should do. That's what a companion exit should do. And it was horrific. But it was perfect for her storyline. She got too big for her boots. But what does this episode do? It instantly erases that and takes her out of that moment, which spoils that episode completely, and it spoils Clara's arc. And then the Doctor gets a gun and shoots a Time Lord with a gun. The Doctor, who is against violence and warfare and weaponry completely, he shoots a Time Lord and he's like, oh, what regeneration are you on? Oh, you're fine, I'll shoot you. But literally in the end of time, we understood that when you die and you regenerate, you are a completely different person. Essentially, you know, it's like dying. And the Doctor just forgets that and shoots a Time Lord. That scene alone is enough to make me hate this episode, because the Doctor wouldn't do that. And that is a fundamental misunderstanding of who the Doctor is and the character that he is. I don't care about how far the Doctor's gone and the lengths he's going to protect Clara. Regardless of that, the Doctor would never pick up a gun and just shoot someone just cause. That is against the Doctor's moral code and against the show. Then there's that stupid thing with me, and so Maisie Williams is a decent actress. I think she's good in a lot of stuff, especially Game of Thrones. However, Doctor Who, awful. Hate her. Awful character, makes no sense. Again, the Doctor seems really out of character that whole season, to be fair. Like, he just revives her for... Anyway, that's a different thing. But I really don't like that. And then you come back to that and you're like... I'm meant to feel something, but I don't, because I don't care about her character. And she plays a massive part in the finale. Like, when the universe is dead, all that's left is her. I don't like that. That makes her too big for Doctor Who canon. And then it brings up that stupid storyline of the hybrid, which is never explained. And I hate that. That's another massive missed opportunity. They could have done something really great with the hybrid storyline. Never do. Never really resolved. And they imply that maybe it's her. Or maybe it's the Doctor, because he might be half human. You know that one thing in the TV movie that everyone hates and has forgotten and has buried because it doesn't make sense, so we don't accept it? Yeah, they bring it back up. Why would you bring something like that back up when we've ignored it and we've established that isn't real anymore? That is really irritating. Why would you bring that back up? I know it's like a joke and a throwaway line, but what are you doing? And then Clara and me fly away in a space TARDIS diner, which is the worst CGI I think I've ever seen in Doctor Who. And the Doctor doesn't remember any of it, but then maybe he does. I have no idea. I don't know. Awful episode, absolutely hate it, and definitely the worst thing in the first 10 seasons of Doctor Who. And it is a massive shame, because I was so hyped for that episode. But it's probably the episode I hate the most, to be fair, because I haven't ranted about any of the other episodes on this list as much as I have this episode. I didn't realise how much I disliked it, to be honest, until I started talking. So I hope you enjoyed my geeky ramble there. So guys, let me know down in the comment section your top 5 worst Doctor Who episodes of all time. And if you want to include series 11 and 12, that's absolutely fine. I just didn't, because I knew that then the whole list would be series 11 and 12. If you like series 11 and 12, that's absolutely fine. We all like different things. We all have different opinions. And if you like that, then good for you. I'm glad that you can find enjoyment out of something that I can't. So I think that's really great. Like the video as always, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm uploading new stuff. My 14th Doctor fan castings video is still up, which I will link down in the description below, which is my most viewed video on this channel. And I will also link my top 5 best Doctor Who episodes from New Who down there as well. And if you'd like to see a classic version of this, then let me know as well down in the comment section below, because I would love to talk more classic Who. But until the next time, guys, I've rambled on enough. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Bye for now.